SliderRepair.com. Don't replace, refurbish. SliderRepair.com. 727-493-2644. Beacon Windows.
Hey Tampa Bay, Tammy here with the BCC Coupon Book. Tune in during drive time every Thursday, 5 to 6 p.m. on the TAN Talk Radio Network to hear the BCC Coupon Book radio show. We feature local small business owners with great deals for many services and restaurants in our listening area. And anyone interested in branding your business and getting your name out there, give us a call at the BCC Coupon Book, 727-804-6082. Have a great day, Tampa Bay.
Hey, you new to the area or just want to know about the best hidden gems and upcoming events? Stay tuned. Be Local Buzz with Devin takes you to these places, introduces you to the best businesses, and tells you about upcoming buzz. Preset your radio to TAN Talk 1340 AM or 106.1 FM every Thursday from 4 to 5. That is the Be Local Buzz with Devin on TAN Talk 1340 AM and 106 FM every Thursday from 4 to 5. Looking forward to speaking with you.
Hey, did you know there's a live psychology talk show Friday at noon where you can call in and get free guidance and also learn several different topics relating to ending the stigma of mental health? It's called Moments of Clarity on WTAN 1340 AM. It's with licensed therapist Tiffany Warner, who will try to end the stigma of mental health. But the only way you can do that is to listen to Moments of Clarity Friday at noon on WTAN 1340 AM, the TAN Talk Radio Network.
Listen to the latest pet trends with benefits on the Pet Buzz every Saturday morning from 9 to 10 a.m. Join pet trendologist Charlotte Reed and veterinarian Dr. Michael Fleck as they talk all things pets. From animal health and wellness, money-saving tips, celebrity gossip, breaking news, and more. Their expert guests are in the know and in the now. To learn more about this unique program and its hosts, tune into the show on the TAN Talk Radio Network.
This is the TAN Talk Radio Network.
It's time for the Kelly Kelly Show on the TAN Talk Radio Network with your hosts, Kelly Kelly and Doug Kelly. Kelly is an award-winning photographer and travel writer, as well as the publisher of the popular ColorfulClearwater.com blog. And Doug is the author of 3 published books and a contributing editor for Florida Sportsman magazine. Now, here they are.
All right. Well, you know, the election is about 2 weeks away, and by now many voters have made selections for various races, and many still have not. In Florida, the marquee campaigns are that of Marco Rubio versus Val Demings for Rubio's U.S. Senate seat. The other will be who's governor? Ron DeSantis, is he going to be in there for a second term, or is Charlie Crist going to make a comeback? Next comes the congressional races, such as that of Anna Luna versus Eric Lynn for Crist's 13th congressional seat, and incumbent Gus Bilirakis seeks to keep his seat in District 12 against Democrat Kimberly Walker and Charles Smith with no political affiliation.
And just as importantly, if not more so in terms of affecting us locally, are the state legislative races. And what one such candidate is our first guest today.
That's true. And the ballots contain races for judgeships and schools board, along with a referendum such as the one in Clearwater about allowing the city council to enter into a contractual agreement with 2 developers to build structures totaling $400 million in the downtown Bluff area. If you're a Clearwater voter, Kelly and I hope you vote yes on that referendum, because doing so, in our opinion, will allow much needed tax and employment benefits to the city.
We're live on the TAN Talk Radio Network, which consists of 3 stations and 3 AM and 3 FM signals blanketing Tampa Bay. You can also hear and view the show on Facebook at the Kelly Kelly Show page.
Yes, and the show will be on TAN Talk's YouTube channel, as well as podcast for expats around the world who like to stay connected to what's going on in their hometowns. We just heard last week, we mentioned it, a lady, her name is Terry.
Terry,
And
she's in Italy
Europe
right now.
Yeah, and she said she would never miss a show. She tunes in even though she's in Europe until the end of the year. So that's kind of cool to know that there's people out there. And also with us today, overseeing the control room, is Big Ed Davis, the executive producer of the Tan Talk Radio Network.
We'll be back shortly with our first guest, but first, see if you know the answer to this trivia question. True or false? Fortune cookies were invented in China. The answer right after this.
This is the Tan Talk Radio Network.
In 1955, the law firm now known as Pernick, Caulfield, Averill, and Noyes made a decision. Instead of taking whatever cases came through their doors, they decided to focus specifically on personal injury. 64 years later, the law firm is one of Clearwater's longest-running personal injury firms. Available 24 hours a day with offices in Clearwater and throughout Tampa Bay, they're ready to put decades of experience to work for you if you or a loved one has been injured in a car accident or injured due to someone's negligence or recklessness. If you feel overwhelmed, uncertain, or unsure about your next steps after being involved in an accident or after a loved one sustained serious injuries due to someone else's negligence, call Pernick, Caulfield, Averill, and Noyes at 727-796-8282 or online at usalaw.com. That's 727-796-8282 or online at usalaw.com. Non-attorney spokesman.
Shop the largest selection of Guy Harvey apparel, artwork, and gift items at GuyHarvey.com. From the world-renowned marine wildlife artist, the Guy Harvey online shop features the latest in performance apparel, classic Guy Harvey t-shirts, decor for every room in your home, exquisite ocean-inspired jewelry, and unique gift items, including custom merchandise not available anyplace else. Browse an extensive catalog of original Guy Harvey works of art and a full range of beautiful reproductions. As with all Guy Harvey merchandise, a percentage of sales benefits the ocean conservation, research, and education work of the Guy Harvey Ocean Foundation. The Guy Harvey Ocean Foundation will help ensure that future generations can enjoy and benefit from a well-balanced ocean ecosystem. Bring the undersea world into your everyday life at GuyHarvey.com.
Do you know what a truly special blog is? It's a website that's rated as one of the best in Florida, chock full of fantastic articles, humor, videos, and hundreds of cool pictures. So what blog is creating all that buzz? It's ColorfulClearwater.com, a blog on the internet created by Kelly Kelly. In only its second year, ColorfulClearwater.com is gaining in popularity every day due to its original writing and original videos and photography. It's updated several times per week with fresh content and includes everything about the color, culture, and vibrancy of Clearwater's citizens and businesses. Even though it covers just one city in Florida, ColorfulClearwater.com nonetheless is already outperforming blogs promoting tourist destinations and major sports teams. Hey, see for yourself. Give a visit to ColorfulClearwater.com and make it your source of enlightening insights and entertainment. That's ColorfulClearwater.com.
These days, amidst supply chain issues, staffing crises, and rising energy bills, it's not easy to be a successful entrepreneur in Clearwater. For many, financial fears have led to sleepless nights. On top of that, many more have employees and customers that they're trying to protect and reassure. A monumental task when they themselves are struggling with burnout. We're all experiencing a lot of intense emotions. So where can you find safe harbor? At Amplify Clearwater. Amplify Clearwater is your Chamber of Commerce, and the name says it all, to make Clearwater larger, greater, stronger. Here you'll find like-minded members who are seeking opportunities to learn from each other, to collaborate, network, support, and do business together. Every business owner's goal in 2022 is to grow their business. If you need help, your friends at Amplify Clearwater are here for you. Submit your application today at amplifyclearwater.com/join.
This is the Tan Talk Radio Network.
All right. Well, thanks for sticking to us like glue. That's not a very good analogy, I guess, but thanks for being with us. In any case, on the Kelly Kelly Show, I'm Doug Kelly with my better three quarters, I like to say, instead of my better half, that's Kelly nice. Kelly and co-host. And we're also here with Big Ed Davis in the control room. And Before the break, Kelly asked if it's true or false that fortune cookies were invented in China. And that seems like it's too obvious to be true. You're right. It's not true. It is false. They were invented, people say, in Los Angeles, California.
That makes sense.
I guess.
Our first guest today is Kim Burfield. She's running for Florida State House District 58. She's a Republican, and she's running against Democrat Bernie Fensterwald. Kim, welcome again to the Kelly Kelly Show.
Hello, thank you for having me. It's always a pleasure.
Well, before we get into your campaign, let's familiarize people a little bit with who you are.
Okay.
Where were you born and raised?
I actually was born in Houston, Texas. Moved here when I was not quite 1 year old. So I tell people since my parents decided to come, I thought it was a good idea.
There you go. It's a long walk.
I'm not exactly a cracker. I tend to be a little bit of a crumb from that standpoint. But I consider this area home. I grew up here. I tell people when they ask me, why would you want to go back to Pinellas as I've had different opportunities in life? It's just a place that calls you. It's small enough you can know people, feel at home.
Sure.
It's large enough where you can have all the modern opportunities, whether it's relating to art, sports, whatever you want, your interest, I guess I would say.
Sure. There's a lot of neat little towns too.
Yes.
In cities around like Tarpon Springs and Largo and Bel Air and Indian Rocks Beach. And of course, you got St. Pete way down south.
Right.
It's not way down, 15 miles or so. And across the bay, Tampa.
Of course.
So you've got the big city and you got the small town feeling all wrapped into one.
It's the best of all worlds.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Kim, what's your educational background?
So I, of course, went to Clearwater High School.
All
Graduated
right.
from there. Go Tornadoes.
Yeah.
And then I had the opportunity to go to the University of Central Florida over in Orlando.
Okay.
And came back here. And then while I was serving as a deputy secretary for the Florida Department of Health, I had the opportunity to pursue my MBA at the Northeastern University. So it was a great opportunity, and I took advantage of it, and I'm grateful for that.
Awesome. What's your employment background and current job?
So my employment background is I served in the Florida legislature from 2000 to 2006. Then I had the honor of being appointed by two governors to serve as the Deputy Secretary for the Florida Department of Health. I did that for approximately 6 years, at which time I said, it's time to go home. I've done my job. Interesting going back, came back to Pinellas County and have been in private industry since then in some form or fashion relating to healthcare. So I've worked with a government-sponsored group as well as with All Children's Hospital for about 6 years.
Well, that's quite rewarding.
Fantastic.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
Yes, it has been.
Working with kids in most capacities is inspiring in a way.
I can tell you the physicians and the nurses, those who are providing the care at that hospital, have a true passion, not just for the children, but also for the families, for the well-being, the holistic well-being of those that come there and need their care. So it is a great organization.
What comprises District 58?
So District 58, if you were to take basically McMullen Booth, the west side of McMullen Booth, go up to Curlew to the west to Belcher, came south on Belcher to 580 in Dunedin, cut across, basically took in the beaches all the way down to Bel Air. So it would take in Bel Air Bluffs, Bel Air Beach, Bel Air Shores, the town of Bel Air, and cut across. So it's predominantly Clearwater. When we think of Clearwater, whether it's the city itself or the unincorporated area, but also some really great, as you were commenting about, small communities that are very tightly knit and excited to be a part of them.
That's a big chunk of territory.
Yes, it is.
Quite a few residents in that area and businesses too.
And a nice variety of individuals as far as their interest and the things that we need to be working on to represent them.
Now, you worked previously in the legislature, as you mentioned, from
Yes, sir.
2000 to 2006. How was that experience?
I think it was a great experience from the standpoint that it was kind of a springboard. I would honestly say that healthcare or insurance were not something that would have been on my radar initially, but it are two committees that I was asked to serve on or to chair. When I chaired the insurance committee, we took on everything except for property insurance. We took on medical malpractice, workers' compensation, we took on auto insurance. And so it was a great learning experience from that standpoint about the industry, how it worked, the changes that we could make to try and help the consumers. And at the time, we saw some of the reductions in costs because of that. Something that, we're proud of as you think about, legislation, you're hoping to help individuals make sure that it's not only a good product for them, but it's also affordable. And so that's something I was very proud of. But like I said, not a natural arena that I think I would have leaned towards, but one that has really suited me well.
Do you have a lot of lobbyists pressuring you when you're on committees like that?
So I think the real question is the type of member you're dealing with. I'm one of those crazy ones who believes in reading the bills that you're going to be voting on.
Silly you.
I don't know what I could be thinking. I actually had a colleague when I was there between the time frame 2000 to 2006, and he would come in and grab my notebook because he had figured out what I was doing was I was reading them and I was making notes in the columns that I was going to ask or had concerns about. And so he'd start grabbing my notebook and I'd be like, what are we doing here? We're not in high school. Come on. But I think it really comes down to, are you paying attention? Are you doing your job? Are you serving as your community's voice?
As opposed to just keeping a seat warm and going through the motions.
Correct.
And just worrying about re-elections and things like that.
Right. And I think we've been very blessed in Pinellas County. We've had some great leadership from the legislative standpoint, as well as our municipal leadership as well.
Well, I think we have a crisis going on with insurance. So I think it's important for people to do their homework.
Absolutely. It's funny we bring this topic up. I was talking to somebody a little bit earlier, and one of the comments they made to me is, so can we quickly take care of this? And I said, no. If we're being honest, we can't quickly take care of it. I said, you've got two things that most people recognize on some level we have to address, and that's with reinsurance for the insurance industry. There's two levels of that. During the special session this past year, they addressed one of those levels, but they didn't address the second one. And the second one is the harder one to address. So that's something that's going to have to be investigated. You also look at assignment of benefits. That's a place where a lot of individuals are taken advantage of. And so we need to find a better way of managing that, whether it's doing something like Texas did, where they said, no, you may not do assignment of benefits, or evaluating another way of managing that opportunity.
Gotcha.
It's important to get somebody in there that has a background in insurance, I think.
Yes. At this point in time, I think it's even more important because as they look at it, it's not going to be the easy answers, and it's going to be somebody who has to dive into the issue and really sit down and have difficult conversations with people that they're not going to want to have.
Well, I know 2 years ago, we were paying $1,700 or $1,800 a year for homeowners insurance. Then it went up to $2,700. And then we got a proposal this year, and I'll mention the insurance company, Universal. They wanted $4,800. And we switched completely to a different broker and to someone else who found a much better deal for us, closer to $2,800, $2,900. And that was a bargain now.
Right.
So it's a huge issue for people.
Well, and when you consider what South Florida just went through, I mean, by the grace of God,
yes.
He spared our community from going through that tragedy. But that community,
everybody is going to share that burden.
Exactly. And we need to be helping take care of those individuals because, as I said, by the grace of God, that did not hit us.
Yep.
For sure. Okay, so
how often does the legislature meet?
So the legislature traditionally will meet once a year, and that's for legislative session. But then they also meet for committee meetings. This year it'll start a little bit later because we're going through an election. So it'll probably start in December and then work its way through the beginning of March when they actually convene. Session then goes for the 90 days in accordance with our Constitution. And then on an election year, so in a year where there is going to be either a gubernatorial or presidential election, that session will start actually in January, and that'll go for the 90 days during that time.
Okay. So what happens for the rest of the year?
So for the rest of the year, there's a combination. It can be you're in your district. That is one of the things that is required of our state legislators, and whether that is a House member or a senator, is that you live and you are active within your community. So you will have senators and representatives who will be in their district doing constituent work, active in the community, and then also doing whatever their full-time job is. The legislature in the state of Florida is considered to be a part-time job.
Right.
I would say if you're doing it right, if you have a true passion for serving as your community's voice, it's not. It really isn't. You're going to be out on evenings, out on weekends. You're going to be giving it everything you possibly
Helping
can.
constituents with
Yes, sir.
this paperwork or that situation. So you have then a staff, excuse me, and an office in your district.
Yes, sir.
Now, how many staff people? Do you have like one secretary and an aide, or?
So,
how does it
so
work?
you have one person who is traditionally your district secretary, and
Right.
that individual works predominantly on constituent issues.
Mhm.
So it's somebody who is consistently in the district, even when the legislator is in Tallahassee. So you have that constant connection to the community, as well as somebody being there and representing you in the community. Then you have your legislative aide, and that individual helps you as you work to pass legislation, to make it to your committee meetings, to do your homework, things along those lines. So they help kind of coordinate the Tallahassee segment of your world as you work through that marathon race of 90 days. I know that sounds like a long period of time, and a lot can be done and is done traditionally in those 90 days. But really, it's keeping you focused and helping you get the materials you need, the research you want to do, so that as you're making decisions, you're making the right ones.
Is that secretary, is that a full-time job?
Yes.
Okay, so they're
Both of them are full-time positions.
okay, so they're answering letters and phone calls from
Correct.
people. Okay,
So
gotcha.
one of the things that district secretary can help you do is really stay connected from the standpoint. I've mentioned a couple of times serving as the community's voice. Well, if they're the ones that see emails or getting letters, they're helping to convey that message to you as the elected official or to your legislative aide as you all are working as a team to make sure you know where the community stands on issues that are coming in front of the legislature. So that role is really a very critical role. I'd say equally as important as the other two because of the connection to the community. Because sometimes as we get further away, it's easier to lose sight. And I think that connection is so critical to making sure you're doing that fundamental part of your job.
Okay, see, I didn't know all this, so I'm learning too. So, okay.
Now, of course, the legislature meets in the state capital, Tallahassee.
Yes, sir.
And how many approximate senators and House members of the legislature are there?
So you have 120 members of the Florida House, and then you have 40 senators
Gotcha.
That serve. And so that we are all up there at one time, which should scare everybody.
I hear the legislative parties can be pretty wild at times.
You know, the environment has changed a great deal, I would say, over the past probably 25 years. There used to be a lot of congeniality, a lot of opportunities to coalesce and to really have a chance to develop friendships. Because you do become a family.
Sure.
I mean, you're away from your family for 90 days. It's a high pressure job as far as those who want to do the job well and right. And so that environment has changed a little bit since we saw some of the lobbying laws that changed. It makes it more challenging as far as dinners are concerned, having those different opportunities to socialize.
And it is a college town. You got Florida State University, you got Florida A&M.
Yes.
And so that probably has a little excitement to it, especially the football games, even though, heaven forbid, any of us are Seminole fans.
That's
I always take a shot at the Seminoles and of course the Gators too. You know, Gainesville's a college town too.
That's
Miami, no, it's got a University of Miami. It's got community colleges, but it's a great big city. It's a little different atmosphere.
So I can take that same theory with Orlando.
That's right.
The UCF Knights.
Yes, they're the only team with a decent record in the state right now.
I was going to say at the moment, I was
I think they're 5-2.
Yes. I was very disappointed about East Carolina this week, but Tampa Bay couldn't even get through Carolina, so maybe it's just a Carolina thing we've got going on.
Hurricanes are falling on very hard times. The FSU just lost 3 straight games to some ranked teams. And of course, the poor USF Bulls are I think they're 1-6. They really can't seem to get out of the cellar.
And it was funny when they started with the UF game this year. I thought there was going to be some great opportunity for them.
Very much so. Well, we're going to take a little break here, and then we're going to come back with more with Kim. So, Ed, we're going to cut away right now for a few minutes, and please stick with us. We got a lot of more interesting things to talk about, and a little bit more football with Ed too, if we have time later to talking about struggling teams, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So we'll be back right after this.
This is the Tan Talk Radio Network.
In 1955, the law firm now known as Pernick, Caulfield, Averill, and Noyes made a decision. Instead of taking whatever cases came through their doors, they decided to focus specifically on personal injury. 64 years later, the law firm is one of Clearwater's longest-running personal injury firms. Available 24 hours a day with offices in Clearwater and throughout Tampa Bay, they're ready to put decades of experience to work for you if you or a loved one has been injured in a car accident or injured due to someone's negligence or recklessness. If you feel overwhelmed, uncertain, or unsure about your next steps after being involved in an accident or after a loved one sustained serious injuries due to someone else's negligence, call Pernick, Caulfield, Averill, and Noyes at 727-796-8282 or online at usalaw.com. That's 727-796-8282 or online at usalaw.com. Non-attorney spokesman.
Shop the largest selection of Guy Harvey apparel, artwork, and gift items at GuyHarvey.com. From the world-renowned marine wildlife artist, the Guy Harvey online shop features the latest in performance apparel, classic Guy Harvey t-shirts, decor for every room in your home, exquisite ocean-inspired jewelry, and unique gift items, including custom merchandise not available anyplace else. Browse an extensive catalog of original Guy Harvey works of art and a full range of beautiful reproductions. As with all Guy Harvey merchandise, a percentage of sales benefits the ocean conservation, research, and education work of the Guy Harvey Ocean Foundation. The Guy Harvey Ocean Foundation will help ensure that future generations can enjoy and benefit from a well-balanced ocean ecosystem. Bring the undersea world into your everyday life at GuyHarvey.com.
Do you know what a truly special blog is? It's a website that's rated as one of the best in Florida, chock full of fantastic articles, humor, videos, and hundreds of cool pictures. So what blog is creating all that buzz? It's ColorfulClearwater.com, a blog on the internet created by Kelly. In only its second year, ColorfulClearwater.com is gaining in popularity every day due to its original writing and original videos and photography. It's updated several times per week with fresh content and includes everything about the color, culture, and vibrancy of Clearwater's citizens and businesses. Even though it covers just one city in Florida, ColorfulClearwater.com nonetheless is already outperforming blogs promoting tourist destinations and major sports teams. Hey, see for yourself. Give a visit to ColorfulClearwater.com and make it your source of enlightening insights and entertainment. That's ColorfulClearwater.com.
You run your business with a laser-like focus on success. Challenges come at you from every angle, but you stay the course. Your calendar is full and your time is limited. So how do you deal with governmental issues that can impact your business? Turn to Amplify Clearwater, your Chamber of Commerce for Clearwater and Clearwater Beach. Amplify Clearwater monitors legislation on the city, county, and state levels to identify issues that will impact businesses in the region. Then they become your voice to our elected representatives. They listen, watch, then take action to either support positive legislation or table bills that would negatively affect our business community. But they need your support to continue this vital work. Why not join the Chamber today? Visit amplifyclearwater.com for all the details and to submit a membership application. Amplify Clearwater. One community, one chamber, one vision.
This is the Tan Talk Radio Network.
Thanks for listening to the Kelly Show. I'm Kelly here with my better half, Doug Kelly.
Hey.
And we're here with Kim Burfield.
Yes.
And she's running for
State House of Representatives,
There we
District
go.
58.
Thank you, Doug.
Yes. And what made you decide to again serve in Florida's legislature?
I think it was a combination of things. The first thing that kind of drew my attention was about 2 years ago. Excuse me. I was helping my sister. She had had a partial knee replacement. And my nephew had come home from high school. And one of the questions she always asked was, what was one good thing you learned today? And sadly, he started talking about how positive socialism was. And my sister looked at me and she said, please don't kill him. He's my only son. and James said, what's she talking about? And I started asking him some questions. And I said, James, you're really invested in soccer. And I said, so you have workout times, you have scrimmages, you have actual games, you have travel. And we took the time to figure out approximately how many hours a week he was putting into it. And then we multiplied it by 52. And I said, all right, now multiply that by the minimum wage. And I said, that's going to be your salary. And he goes, well, I think that's a little low, but okay, let's. And I said, now I'm going to pay your mom the same amount. But
Right.
we both know there is no way she is going to be running around the block anytime soon, let alone chasing a soccer ball down the field. And he said, well, why are you going to pay her the same thing that I'm being paid? And so we talked about it, and it really hit home for me, the impact and the lack of some basic things that our young people
That's
are being
scary.
taught in
That's
school.
scary.
It really was.
Remember what Winston Churchill said? He said, democracy is the worst form of government except for all others.
Yes, Mhm. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I apologize. I don't remember who the quote comes from, but there was a quote that went something along the lines of, how we are or what we are teaching our children today
Wow, scary.
dictates the government of tomorrow.
Oh, sure.
And so
Children are like a sponge.
sponge, exactly.
Yeah.
And so that I think was kind of an awakening moment for me. And then just knowing what lies ahead of us. I think one of the things is we have become a very reactionary state. I think we have done a phenomenal job at addressing those issues as they have come their way. But I think one of the things as we talk about being a free state, we also need to start talking about stability.
Mm-hmm.
And whether that is the financial stability of the state, whether that is the agriculture stability, manufacturing, I think there are other opportunities where we were blessed as we came through the pandemic, regardless of what you think of that and that moment in time. But it taught us something very interesting, and that is we have some opportunities in our state to really create more of being a stable and free state.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think there's some things there that I really like to be an active part of in transitioning that, so that in 25 years, when our young people look around and they say, wow, we still have an agricultural component to our economy. We still now have a larger manufacturing component to our economy. I think those are things that I would like to leave as a legacy.
Sounds good. So what issues do you feel are the most important?
So I think some of the issues as we've been going door to door and talking to people at community events, the economy is huge. Of course, what is happening with inflation. We saw today the Dow has taken a turn for the better. That's exciting for everybody. But I think that once again ties into some of those opportunities that we really need to be looking at. We discussed property insurance. That is another issue that a lot of people are talking about, particularly people who are on fixed incomes. Another area of interest is affordable housing. A lot of people, as you talk to them,
They're closed out of the market.
Whether or not, they question whether or not they'll ever be able to purchase a home. I have mentioned to you, I have a niece and soon to be nephew, in-law, I guess you would say, that'll be getting married, and they just were able to purchase a home. They've been working on it for a year and a half, and by the grace of God, they were able to find the right home. But it was also the homeowner's engagement in it, where she saw it as an opportunity to pass it along to a new young family.
Right.
So I think there's some work we need to be doing there, whether it's with the Sadowski Trust Fund or the sale and chip initiatives that are available. How can we try and create a more affordable environment where we don't have people who are having to travel over an hour and a half like they do in Monroe County because they can't afford to live there. Because, what our workforce is and whether or not we have one really dictates where our economy and our community is going to go.
I lived in the Keys for 7 years, and you can be making $80,000 a year and they're turning your lights off down there. There's no middle ground. You're either, six figures or you're way down. And it was really, really, really tough. But we bought a house, actually two, but the second one we stayed in the longest. When we bought it, we bought it for $288,000. Okay. Last time I was down there, you know how you go buy houses you used to own and things like that. But so happened I caught the owner outside raking the yard, and I stopped, introduced myself, told him what I was, And I said, "What is the house value now?" He says, "I just turned down an offer for $1.54 million."
Oh my goodness!
Now it is on the water in the canal, but it's not it's not a mansion. It's not some phenomenal what you would picture as a million. But I mean, how can people go down to the Keys and buy even a lower income house for $300,000, $400,000? It's tough. You're right.
And in some cases, like in that situation, they're probably as interested in the property as they were the home itself.
Absolutely.
It was more about the property and the location.
Absolutely.
My son is looking for an apartment in the area. So I asked a store clerk, I said, do you know of any cheap apartments in the area? He said, the cheapest he knows of is $450 a week. I said, that's cheap.
That's $1,800 a month.
I know.
Yeah.
Wow. So that's Pinellas. So.
Well, even in Hillsborough, I mean, everywhere.
Yes.
Tampa,
across the state.
My daughter and husband were paying $1,600 a month for a 2-bedroom place, and that went up to $2,000.
Yeah. Wow.
So
I didn't realize. I've been out of the loop too long.
Yeah.
Don't complain. I think this might be a loop you're happy to be out of.
Yes.
Yeah, I hear you there.
I guess so.
So why do you think you're the better candidate?
So I think it's a combination. As I mentioned, I've grown up in this community. I probably spent about 87% of my life here. I have seen how our
87%?
About 87%.
That's pretty precise.
Well, it was one of those things you had somebody who asked you, so you took the time to figure out, okay, well, I was here for this many years and then that many years. But in that ballpark, we figured it was around. But I've seen how Pinellas County has transitioned over time. I think one of the things that is helpful is having that historical knowledge. Once again, of where we've come from, knowing where you're going to
Home
is part
field
of
advantage.
Exactly. I would say the other thing is the experience we discussed earlier.
Yeah.
I'm very fortunate that I have experience not only from a legislative standpoint, but from the government standpoint when I served as the Deputy Secretary of the Department of Health, as well as the private industry. And I think that is a unique combination that as you are creating and voting on legislation, you have a true understanding of how all three of those things work together or can clash together.
That's a big
very
advantage
quickly.
going in.
Yes, absolutely.
Very, very good.
Kim, what endorsements do you have?
So I am proud to have a variety of endorsements. We have Sheriff Bob Galtieri. We have
That's Pinellas County Sheriff.
Yes, Pinellas County Sheriff. We have Senator Ed Hooper. We have Representative Chris Latvala, who will soon be County Commissioner Latvala.
Right.
We have former elected officials. We have council members and mayors from a variety of the smaller communities that we've discussed. I think that is one thing that, as we looked at this campaign, it was really about the grassroots. It was about going back to the people that you're representing. And I think that was what was able to successfully bring us through a very hard-fought primary with 54% of the vote. And I hope will bring us through the general election as well. Is when you can say, I've sat down and I've talked with Mayor Wilkinson. I've talked to Councilwoman or Commissioner Susie Sofer about these issues. People have a higher level of confidence because they know those individuals. They're a part of their community. They are part of their Rotary clubs, their churches. And I think that really reflects a high appreciation of, who I am and where we're going to go together.
How have you been reaching out to voters in the campaign?
So in a variety of ways. The one thing I would tell you that up until now I did not have is social media. Mm-hmm. So we have been leveraging social media as effectively as we possibly can.
That's big now.
Yes, it is. To share a number of the endorsements. One of the things, as I commented about the local endorsements, we took the time to ask them to do a video endorsement so that then we could take and place it on our Facebook page so that they could go there and they could hear from people why or what motivated them, or
rather than just print it on a piece of paper.
Exactly.
Very good idea.
It's one of those things where when you hear somebody say it in their own words, I think it has a different level of impact. Mm-hmm. So we've utilized social media. We have been doing everything from going to community events, whether they're homeowners associations or different events that groups are putting on within the community, to let them know that just as now we will be there in a year, we will be there in 2 years, we are here to represent them. Mm-hmm. And so we communicate that way, as well as doing direct mailing and advertising.
Sign waving.
I was going to say sign waving, walking precincts. We'll show up at your door sweaty and you'll think, what is this crazy woman doing at my door?
That's right. We even spring out of mailboxes sometimes, right?
No, I haven't gone that far.
I hear you. Well, that's great. Well, tell us about your family.
So I grew up here in Pinellas County. My mother and father were both Clearwater City Commissioners. I tell people that they had a very strong role in who I am and the principles that I believe in. I have a younger sister who has a niece who's given me a niece and a nephew. I tell people I have been blessed 1,000 times over. I've got the best job in the world with them. I get to be the aunt that spoils them and sends them home.
Oh, yes. 2 days out the door, right?
I think the best thing that I would say about that is the relationship I have had the opportunity to develop with them. They are both amazing young adults that I'm proud to be associated with. And to see their evolution and how they're developing is just very exciting.
Wonderful.
What do you like doing on your time off?
Well, we jokingly talked about football.
Yes.
Excuse me. I am a big UCF football fan. So on fall, I guess we can call it fall in Florida. It's kind of questionable. But on fall Saturdays, I'm normally watching UCF football and
for
cheering
those
on
who
the
don't know,
Knights.
that's the University of Central Florida.
Yes, it is. Yes,
and
it is.
there's another college, Rollins College, is also in Orlando.
They are there. Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
So. I lived in Winter Park.
Did you? Okay,
for
that's
3 years.
Where my sister lives.
Yeah, we were right across from Lake Howell High School.
Okay.
Don't tell me I was in the same house as your sister.
No, you weren't. Sorry.
All right. That's good. All right. So you like watching UCF?
I enjoy football.
Okay.
When people ask me about that, they look at me kind of crossways. I tell them I was my father's son, so to speak. He took me to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers game when they were in the old sombrero. Vinny Testaverde.
Oh, yes.
I remember him well.
Yes.
I remember when we made it to the playoffs because of the strike, and I think we played the Rams, if I remember right.
Vinny used to be the quarterback for the incredible, the fantastic One of the greatest football teams in the history of college football, the University of Miami Hurricanes. But let's not talk about their record this year.
Okay, we won't, because it's not too good today.
But Vinny moved on, as like you said, he was here with the Bucks. Did you enjoy that? That must it got into your blood, the football at that point. I see.
I loved it. I would say that when people ask, what did your parents do right? I would say that is something both my parents did right. They knew the importance of investing time, regardless if it was a football game, if you went out to McDonald's and had a cheeseburger and just sat and talked.
Yes,
it was that interaction with young people, and I think that is critical. People.
It's not buying them presents; it's your presents.
Exactly, and that investment is invaluable. It is something that can never be replaced and never will be replaced.
Yeah. Well, just on an off question, we've talked a little bit about this during the break, but when we weren't on the air, but it's kind of critical too, and that's the woke mentality that's come up, and we've seen this in some of the school boards where they're trying to force children into believing that we're a racist society and these other. What's your view on all that?
Our history is what our history is. And there are positive things and there are negative things in our history.
As with all countries.
Exactly. Yeah. And I don't think that transitioning that or trying to change our young people's opinions of who we are and where we have come from is the right direction.
Toppling statues. Yeah.
Exactly. I think it is important to remember where you came from, because if you don't remember that, then how can you ensure you're not going to make the same mistake again?
Exactly.
And whether that is with the same group of individuals or a different group of individuals, if it is wrong, it is wrong.
Yeah.
And we have to learn from that. I think, as I think about our educational system, whether you are talking about the critical race theory, whether you are talking about gender transitioning, regardless of what area you're talking about, we have taken and made the schools the family, and the schools are not the family.
Right.
They're not the parents. The parents are the parents, and the parents need to be having these difficult conversations with their children as to what they believe, why they believe it, what is important. And our schools need to start teaching our children. We need to, in my humble opinion, we need to get back to what I call Saigon math. 2 + 2 = 4. It's not 11 - 9 + 3 gives you 4. I think we need to get back to teaching basics about our Constitution, why this is a great country. I was talking with a mother who said that her daughter had commented about communism being a good thing. And she said, I encouraged my daughter to go spend time in Cuba, but not at a resort, but actually where Cuban individuals, families live.
Right.
Learn what it's like to pay $2 for toilet paper. Learn, and I'm not talking about a roll here. I'm talking about just enough so that you can go use the facilities. And I think that is something that, unfortunately, as we talk about it and we watch how our community is evolving, it's having a significant impact. And I think it's a negative impact, unfortunately.
Well, I think it's also a misnomer and it's a mislabeling to, there's a lot of people out there who keep saying over and over that we're a racist nation. And whenever I've heard that, I've asked them, how can we elect a black president if we're predominantly a racist nation? It lacks logic.
Exactly.
Now, sure, there's always going to be people with prejudicial and biased thoughts and behavior. You're never going to wipe that out. But
sadly,
you can't go into schools and try to brainwash children into looking at just the thorns and not the roses of our country.
Absolutely. I have often wondered what our forefathers would think if they were to come back today with the level of sacrifices that they had to make to bring us to being a republic or a democracy. Would they think it was well invested, or would they think, I wish I could go back and do it differently?
Religion and patriotism needs to have a resurgence.
Absolutely.
It really does.
I agree. There's no two ways about it.
Well, listen, what's the contact info for your campaign?
So I would tell you, if you are looking for Facebook, it is Burfield BERFIELD 4 FOR Florida FL, a house HOUSE, and my email is hello@kimberlyburfield.com. Hello, yes.
Okay.
And I would say that a lot of people have been reaching out during this election cycle, during the primary, and during the general election, asking questions and where we stand on issues. And I think that's great.
Fantastic.
The engagement has been very exciting from that
Well, that's
standpoint.
great. Well, we wish you the best of luck in the final weeks of the campaign. And we hope to see you in Tallahassee as the next representative of Florida House District 58. I'm not going to even pretend not to state that Kelly and I voted for you. And we hope other
I appreciate
listeners
it.
consider doing likewise. And, best of health and good luck going down the road with the final 2 weeks.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
All right. Kim Burfield. Very great. And Ed, we're going to take a break, couple of ads, please, and then we'll be right back to wind things up. So stay with us on the Kelly Kelly Show.
This is the Tan Talk Radio Network.
In 1955, the law firm now known as Pernick, Caulfield, Averill, and Noyes made a decision. Instead of taking whatever cases came through their doors, they decided to focus specifically on personal injury. 64 years later, the law firm is one of Clearwater's longest-running personal injury firms. Available 24 hours a day with offices in Clearwater and throughout Tampa Bay, they're ready to put decades of experience to work for you if you or a loved one has been injured in a car accident or injured due to someone's negligence or recklessness. If you feel overwhelmed, uncertain, or unsure about your next steps after being involved in an accident or after a loved one sustained serious injuries due to someone else's negligence, call Pernick, Caulfield, Averill, and Noyes at 727-796-8282 or online at usalaw.com. That's 727-796-8282 or online at usalaw.com. Non-attorney spokesman.
Shop the largest selection of Guy Harvey apparel, artwork, and gift items at guyharvey.com. From the world-renowned marine wildlife artist, the Guy Harvey online shop features the latest in performance apparel, classic Guy Harvey t-shirts, decor for every room in your home, exquisite ocean-inspired jewelry, and unique gift items, including custom merchandise not available anyplace else. Browse an extensive catalog of original Guy Harvey works of art and a full range of beautiful reproductions. As with all Guy Harvey merchandise, a percentage of sales benefits the ocean conservation, research, and education work of the Guy Harvey Ocean Foundation. The Guy Harvey Ocean Foundation will help ensure that future generations can enjoy and benefit from a well-balanced ocean ecosystem. Bring the undersea world into your everyday life at guyharvey.com.
This is the Tan Talk Radio Network.
Thank you for being with us. And we had a real interesting chat with Kim Burfield. We hope she does well in the election. And Ed, I don't know what to say. I mean, at halftime, the score against the 1-6 Carolina Panthers is 0 for the Bucs, 7 for the Panthers. It ends up 21-3 all we did is basically punt. We had a possession at one time on their 25-yard line, 2nd and 1. We couldn't get a first down. What is going wrong with this team?
You know, I didn't even watch the game yesterday.
Well, good for you.
I had the day off, and I decided I had a feeling it wasn't going to go right.
Really?
And I would rather have made my day productive in doing something else, and I made the right choice.
It was a stressful thing. Even watching the summation on YouTube, it's just it starts and ends with the offensive line.
Yeah, and I think there's going to be some wholesale changes.
There has to be
after Thursday night.
There has to be.
There may be some firings.
Yeah.
Because something's just not right there.
No, something's not clicking. They're not in tune. Brady is still Brady. He might be 45, but he's still probably one of the most accurate passers still in the NFL.
Of course, it didn't help that Mike Evans dropped that wide open touchdown. That kind of set the tone.
That took the air out of their sails. I think it really did. That was a gimme touchdown. But I don't know how they're going to turn it around. I really don't. And like you said, there may be some major changes, especially if they lose Thursday. Also, that'll be 3 or 4 losses in a row.
As bad as it is, they're still first in their division.
Yeah, I know, 3 and 4. They're lucky.
I mean, they have to win Thursday night, or you can push the panic button.
Yeah.
You can push it. So,
but I tell you what, a lot of people forget in their Super Bowl year they were 5-3.
Yeah.
After 8 games, they weren't kicking butt and tearing up things, and they went on a run. They won right out. Can they do it this time? I'm not that confident they can, to be honest with you. But c'est la vie. Football is not so good either in the state of Florida. Miami Hurricanes lost another game at home to fall to 3-4. The Gators stand at 4 wins and 3 losses. Bye week for them and FSU this week. FSU lost 3 straight. They were ranked teams. They did put up a fight. I think they're farther along than Miami. But it's the first time, really, the Gators, the Seminoles, and the Hurricanes none of them have been in the top 25 halfway through the season. It's amazing. The UCF Knights are 5-2. They're doing the best. Yeah. And of course, the poor Bulls are pathetic, 1-6.
Yeah.
So,
as bad as things are around here, it could be worse. You could be a Yankees fan.
That's true, too.
You and your $250 million payroll got bounced in the playoffs.
I know it. And nobody feels...
Well, actually, they didn't get bounced. They got swept.
Yeah, exactly. The old broom job. And nobody's feeling sorry for them. That's for sure. Well, Kel, it's time to wrap things up. I think you have a verse for us. Let's hear it.
The verse for the week is Numbers 6:24 through 26. The Lord bless you and keep you. The Lord make his face shine on you and be gracious to you. The Lord turn his face toward you and give you peace.
And here's an adage I like. Climb the mountain so you can see the world, not so the world can see you. So, in behalf of Kelly, and Ed Davis, thanks for sharing this hour with us. Be sure to tune in next week for another edition of the Kelly Show.
Thanks for listening to the Kelly Show on Tan Talk Radio. Tune in every Monday at 5 p.m. for Tampa Bay's newest and most entertaining show.
WTAN, Clearwater.
FM 106.1.
WDCF, Dade City.
FM 102.3.
WZHR, Zephyrhills.
FM 104.3.
Listen.